All right, all right. Welcome everybody to Speaking of Zane, a day late, but here we are, November the 13th, 2023. This is the 259th edition of Speaking of Zane. Would have done last night, but I've been out of town. You guys know I've been out of town a lot lately. I was down in Tampa and staying at my buddy Nathan, Marine Corps veteran, staying at his place. And wasn't real conducive to do Speaking of Zane last night. He had some family over. One of his daughters had a birthday coming up this week, and just didn't work out. But I'm back here now. I got back a couple hours ago, and we'll got a lot to share. I tell you, when I do it a day late, it feels like it's 2 weeks ago. But I'm gonna see if I can capture everything that has been going on here related to Speaking of Zane as quickly as I can tonight. But good to have everybody in there. Ken's in there, Daryl's in there, Lori's in there, Carl's in there, my dad's in there. All right, good turnout tonight. Well, let's see what has been going on. So I mentioned I just got back. So last week I did Speaking of Zane from New York, remember? And I told you all about everything that went on there and the veterans thing I did. But the next night we had another activity, which is the reason I stayed the weekend. We had an activity at gosh, where was it? Was it the Kennedy Center? It might have been at the Kennedy Center. Anyway, very nice place, north of Times Square. Anyway, it was in this venue holds about 5,000 people, I guess, and there was a lot of military folks there, and it was a stand-up comedy event and a musical event, and anyway, there was a VIP sort of happy hour that we were invited to. Me and three of my colleagues at work got invites and tickets and everything. Had VIP passes to everything. So I was with you guys last on Sunday night. Well, Monday morning I went back to our office in New York, and or actually, yeah, I didn't go on Friday because Charlotte and I went. But I went to our office on Monday. Yeah, we're in a brand new building. They have the entire 54th floor, 360-degree view. You guys saw I posted some pictures, but it was fantastic. Got to see a lot of my colleagues that I know there and meet some new ones. And I'm about to sneeze, so I'm going to mute myself. Well, I ended up not sneezing. Yes, Ken, it was the Lincoln Center. It was the Lincoln Center, sure was, and it was fantastic. Anyway, so So there's a whole story around this thing. So this was part of this sponsorship that my company did, and so we four of us got tickets to go. So um, and these three guys, one of the three guys I'd met last Thursday. He was at the event that I was a panelist, and the other two guys I met them for the very first time, and one of them happened to be a Marine, and so we hit it off, of course, and he his name is Shane, and he served 4 or 5 years in the Marine Corps. He spent the last 20 years at JP Morgan Chase as a technologist, and now he works for us for about the last 4 months. And he's consultant for us. Anyway, interesting guy, kind of low key, laid back. Um, but we, I met him in the office, and then later on, we went to this event together. And I'm telling you all this because something crazy happened. Um, so we get into the concert hall, the venue, and we're sitting maybe halfway back, and we're in middle seats. So we got people on both sides of us to the aisle. We're in the middle seat. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of airflow in there. It was a little bit warm, um, and we were sitting for 2 hours. So I tell you this because I give you that scenario because of what I'm about to tell you. So we're sitting there, and we're 2 hours in now. So we had all these comedy acts, we had some musical acts, and now sort of the headliner of the evening is John Mellencamp. You guys may remember John Mellencamp. Well, John Mellencamp was on stage performing, and the guy to my right said, "Hey, guy, Shane's not feeling too well. I'm gonna walk out with him, make sure he gets to the men's room okay." I'm like, okay, I didn't know. I thought he maybe had a stomach ache or something. And so we stood up to clear the aisle so they could walk out. Well, the guy next to me, I said, "Hey, Shane's not feeling well. He's going to walk out." And so he got up, and everybody else got up, and he walked out. But um, Shane wasn't very quick to get up, and I was there's a guy between me and Shane, this Marine, and he's like got the 1,000 yard stare, and it's like he can't move. And he's sitting there, and I'm like, Shane, you ready to walk out? And next thing I know, Shane is like this. I mean, his eyes rolled back in his head rolled back, and he's out cold. And I'm like, what in the world, dude? And the dude next to me didn't know what to do. The British guy from our London office, he was like, what do I do? And so fortunately, there was a guy behind us that was an EMT. He was a he was a corpsman in the Navy, but he's an EMT now. So he was right there. So he was able to sort of spring into action. And first thing he did was try to make sure Shane was breathing. If he wasn't breathing, that was a whole different course of action, but he was breathing. So then it was a matter of just reviving him. And he was probably out. He was out less than a minute. Seems like an eternity, but he was out for less than a minute. But anyway, so some lady started calling for a doctor, screaming. And so John Mellencamp stops his singing, and he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Somebody needs help there." Anyway, so finally, Shane, he came to, and I thought, now I had a friend of mine, Steve, down in Savannah, that was a diabetic. And if he didn't stay up on his blood sugar, he would zone out. And you just would have to give him something sweet, or some soda pop, or some candy or something. And they'll come back around eventually. And I thought that's what was going on with this guy. But because the three of us that were there, this is the first time we ever met this guy. He's probably 50. We didn't know his history. We didn't know if he was a diabetic. We didn't know, so we're asking all the questions, you know, because that's what that was. He's just sort of tunnel vision, zoned out, like you see somebody do that's a diabetic, but blood sugar issues. Anyway, so we got him up eventually, got him out into the hallway where they had some sofas and everything, and the staff there called 911. So an ambulance came and EMTs came in, and they're asking him all the same questions. What's your history? Do you have any heart problems or this, that, and the other? And you know, the conclusion that everyone came to was that he just got dehydrated. And I remember I said it was kind of there wasn't a lot of airflow in there. We were in these seats and in the middle, and it was 2 hours, and he had flown from Columbus, Ohio that morning, and he probably, was off of his normal routine. Probably didn't drink enough water throughout the day, and anyway, and he wasn't drinking. Nobody was drinking. Um, so I don't. Anyway, so we get him out. The EMTs come in. Now they put him on the stretcher, and we go out onto the street where the ambulance is at. And I said, "Hey, can I go? Can I go to the hospital with him?" And they said, "Yeah, you can go to the hospital with him. Leave no man behind." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "But first, we want to get his vitals and do an EKG on him before we transport him." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll just wait." And my other two buddies were waiting too. So we're waiting on him, and they finally come back out of the ambulance and said, "Hey, your buddy doesn't want to go to the hospital." I'm like, "Okay." Um, and so I said, "Hey, Shane," I wanted to make sure he was um, of sound mind. And I said, "Hey, Shane, what's up?" And he says, "Well, I just don't want to go to the hospital and have to wait for hours. I got to fly back home tomorrow." He says, "I feel okay. They tell me the EKG's okay. I'm just going to refuse transport." And the ambulance guy says, "Yeah, but I just need somebody to witness him saying he refuses transport." So I had to be the witness to say he doesn't want to go to the hospital. And anyway, so the ambulance left. We got an Uber and went back. We took Shane to his hotel. We're all staying in 4 different places. Took Shane to his hotel, made sure he got to his room okay. And then he and I were flying out the next day, Tuesday, out of Newark. We were both flying around the same time. So I met him at his hotel. I called the Uber. I made sure he got to his plane, and on his way home, had him text me once he got home. And anyway, went to the doc the next day. I haven't talked to him since then because I had to jump on a plane and go down to Florida. But I'll check in with him tomorrow and see. But it got me thinking that I need a refresher course on like CPR and all of that stuff, because it sucks if you have to wait for the ambulance to get there when you could do something, right? But anyway, that's one of the veterans that I met um, since we were together last week. So, and I'm like, "Shane, I will never forget you because this is the first time we met, and you do this to us." So anyway, that was crazy. So left there and got home Tuesday afternoon, and I was home all day Wednesday, and then I flew down to Tampa on Thursday. Well, but some other things happened between then. See, you miss a day and it feels like 2 weeks. But so I got home on Tuesday. Well, Wednesday was a big thing for us at work. I had a guest speaker that I was having a conversation with, moderating a conversation for our Veterans Day program. And he's an active duty Air Force colonel. He's the wing commander of a training command down at Keesler Air Force Base. And I met him several years ago at the Pentagon, actually, me and my friend Amanda Duggar. And so I moderated this conversation with Colonel Pope, and we had a pretty good turnout on it. A lot of folks were able to view it. I've got the recording of it. If any, it's fantastic. I did a fantastic job of moderating. no, no, he was a great guest, and we had worked together ahead of time, so he kind of knew what was coming. But it was about an hour long conversation, but it's recorded, and I can share that if anybody wants to hear from an active duty colonel that's involved in training and commands Keesler Air Force Base, and was a cyber geek. Just a really good conversation. If you want to watch that recording, let me know. And then, so Thursday, I fly down to Tampa, and I'm working out of our Tampa office that I used to go to all the time on Thursday, and got a lot of work done. I was the only one in the office. And anyway, about 2 o'clock came along, and I had agreed. This is where it gets kind of goofy. I had agreed to be the guest speaker for another company. So I have a qualified guest speaker in a 22-year Air Force veteran, full bird colonel, command wing commander. That was my guest. And then this other company called SB Energy. They're an energy company. I was their guest, so they didn't get quite the same quality of guest as we did. But I was honored to be asked to do it. There's a connection and a reason why I was asked, but they had sort of their all hands Veterans Day thing, and they had me as their guest, and we had worked out a series of questions, and it was all about helping veterans transition from the military and what to expect from veterans in the workforce. And it was a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed it. The gal that was facilitating or moderating this discussion along with me is a Marine Corps vet, and so is her husband, and he works at our company. And anyway, it was a lot of fun, and you can tell by now that this is my favorite subject. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I was happy to do that for them. And that was on Thursday, and then finished up in the office down there. And my buddy Nathan, who I've known for a decade now, 12 years or so now, and he's a Marine Corps vet. We work together at the same company, and he lives just south of Tampa. And he said, "Well, hey, if you're going to be down here, instead of staying in a hotel, why don't you stay at our place? All their kids are moved out and everything." So I said, "Wow, okay, yeah, I'll stay at your place." So I went down there Thursday night, and I stayed at their place the whole time, and it was great. Better than to stay in a hotel, that's for sure. And but had a good time, hung out with them Thursday night, and then Friday we had a work day out at my Warriors place in Ruskin. At our company, we call them days of caring, a day of caring, and it's just basically a community outreach for your company. But we did another one at my Warriors place. We had 10 of us show up, and we had three people. It was their very first time coming there, so I enjoyed telling the story about my Warriors place. And we got some cleanup done there, and some work around the property. There was another group there working at the same time. Um, they ordered a pizza for everybody, and we did some technology stuff, upgraded some software and firmware for the wireless network, and did some things that we've been wanting to do for a little while. So we had a really good day out there. And then that was Friday. And then Friday night, my old Tampa team invited me to come along to the Tampa Bay Technology Awards banquet. And Nathan happened to be going as well, so it worked out good. And I got to see a bunch of my old colleagues and stuff, and it was quite fun there. And then that was Friday. So Saturday morning, um, my buddy has a brand new Corvette. I don't know if any of the Corvette people out there, it's a C8, the rear engine C8, like 900 horsepower. I mean, it will put you back in the seat. Anyway, he's got one of those, and I've done this with him before when I've stayed down there. But he every Saturday morning in Sarasota at the big mall there, they have what they call Cars and Coffee. It's big, just basically a big car show. I mean, literally, there's 300 cars there. I mean, it's a pretty good size event. And we were up and there by 7:30 on Saturday morning and hung out there. Another buddy of ours, who's got an Audi Quattro, he met us there, and we spent a couple hours there, which was a lot of fun. I enjoy those kind of things. And then we drove back home to his place, and then I did my Veterans Day 5K. So we had a Veterans Day 5K we sponsored in St. Louis, but you can do it virtually. And I did mine there in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. I did a 5K and got that knocked out, and then came back to, did my walk around his neighborhood. They've got a bunch of lagoons and a park and some walking trails. So I got 5K in, came back to their place, and then his kids and their spouses all came over, and we watched football afternoon and into the evening. They're all Tennessee fans, so we watched a Tennessee game. What was it? Was it Tennessee, Mississippi? And then we watched the Georgia game. Then we watched the end of the Texas A&M game. So we got a lot of football in. It was nice hanging around the pool. He's got a pool there, and hung around the pool and watched the games. And so it was fun to get away and everything. His wife cannot wait. She's already planning, Lori. She cannot wait for Lori to come down. We're already looking at some dates for Lori and her to hang out, and while Nathan and I are doing some things. But so that was Saturday. So Sunday morning we got up and we drove down to Punta Gorda, which is about an hour south, to the brand new My Warriors Place location. And it was the grand opening of the new My Warriors Place. I've been talking about it every week. And we got there about 11:30 in the morning. And there were two big Jeep clubs there. There were probably 30 Jeeps there. They had a Jeep contest, and there was burgers and dogs and beans and pork and all kind of stuff for food, and some raffles and all kind of stuff like that. So we got to hang out, meet a lot of new veterans there, meet a lot of new people that I hadn't met before. We got a good look at the property. We're already scoping out. We're going to do one of those day of carings down there at that property. We're already scoping out some things that she needs done and some things that we can do. And we'll bring a crew down there for that. And Nathan and I are actually thinking about staying a couple of days, staying over, getting a camper and staying over there, so we can get more done over a period of time. Anyway, it was fantastic. If anybody's ever down in the Tampa, Punta Gorda area, Sarasota area, you got to visit one or both of the My Warriors Place locations and meet Kelly. And if anybody does that, let me know, and I will meet you there and personally introduce you to Kelly. But we had a great time. That was Sunday. We came back to his house, and after we were all done, and then his kids and their spouses came over, and the youngest daughter, it was her birthday's this week, so they had kind of a birthday thing. And then this morning got up, and I was in our office by 7:30. And one of my colleagues, one of my school teachers that's on my team, showed up, Rhoda, and she and I got some work done, and we started a brand new group of students today. It's been the first group of students that we've had since the last ones graduated in June. So we got a brand new group of 9, I think it is. We got them kicked off today, and we'll have them for about 10 weeks. There's Mary's in there. Colin Crim's in there. Good to have everybody in there. Steve Shirley's in there. Hey, Steve and Kathy. Are you guys back yet, Steve? I know that was a pretty long visit you guys had over there. I enjoyed all the pictures and everything. Ted Boris is in there. Hey, Ted, how you doing, buddy? All right. Well, let's see. What else can I tell you? So that was everything I've done since we were last together Sunday a week ago. It's been a lot, so I'm glad to be home. I just got home. Steve says he got home late last night. Okay, welcome back, Steve. Enjoy your trips. You guys do a great job chronicling things. And we featured your cemetery visit last week. But so I got back this evening, got in, got everything put away, checked the mail, all the normal stuff that you do, and got ready for speaking to Zane. And now for I'm home all this week, all next week. So I'm home for 2 full weeks, and Thanksgiving is in there. I think our daughter Charlotte's coming home, and Jackson and I are already planning what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. So that'll be fun. And then that week after Thanksgiving, I got to go to St. Louis for most of the week, and got some things I'm doing there. Um, and then I'll be back the end of that week, and then be home for a couple of weeks before going over to London with Lori. So, all right, well, let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, couple of shout outs. Happy 40th birthday to one of Zane's best battle buddies, John Evil. Johnny has been absolutely fantastic over the years. We consider him like our family. I may have talked about him last week, but his wife Carrie asked us if we'd make a little video to him, each of us, and we have, and great guy he is. And my father-in-law. So you guys may have seen Lori post, or Lori's mother post. My father-in-law has colon cancer, and he was having a procedure today to excise some of the suspect areas. And sounds like the initial reports are good. Stan Smith is his name, and Stan is retired from the Air Force and was one of Lori's TIs at basic training. That's how freaky that story about her mother is. Yeah, I'll have to tell that sometime, or Lori can tell it. But Lori's mother married her TI. Yes. Anyway, so but that's Stan. So he's a great guy. So we'll be watching his progress in the coming days there from his surgery, and hopefully they were able to analyze everything and whatnot. So I'll keep you updated on that. All right, hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week. I just wore the basic United States Air Force hat today. Had no special reason to, but Veterans Day, I don't know. I don't know if I've worn this one for speaking of Zane, but there you go. Okay, so what else do I have? I didn't pull any this week in military history items. I've been a little busy, if you can't tell. But I did meet a lot of veterans over the last couple of weeks, actually. But this last week, I've chronicled a few, and I've captured ones that you all have told me about. So let me tell you what my list looks like. By the way, thank you guys for doing that. I mean, especially the week of Veterans Day, where it's set aside. I told the whole story on my sort of interview with Colonel Pope. I told the story of Veterans Day dating back to World War One and Armistice Day and the progression of the holiday. Um, but it, you know, even if you're not thanking veterans, interact with them and find out about them, right? And that's what you guys have been doing, right? So it's good stuff. Yeah, that must be my brother Brad. Yeah, we both flew in and out of Newark on, I think, the same day he was coming, I was going, or something. Which that's called a near miss. But all right, well, let's see. So let me tell you what I know about on the Think of That challenge. You guys have done a good job of chronicling that. We had a really good count this week. My dad, no, Daryl met a Marine Corps vet called Mark at Jefferson Barracks, gave him some directions. So Daryl did a good deed there. And he met an Air Force Gulf War vet last week. Ken had a fantastic week down there in Central Florida. He had 14 thank yous there. Let me just see, Ken. You had Orange County Sheriff. You had a Vietnam vet at the Burger King. You had 4 different vets at your community Marine Corps birthday celebration on Friday. Outstanding. 2 young airmen from Minot that were on their way back while at the USO. You thanked 4 USO volunteers, and you had a husband and wife Air Force duo. So how about that? How about that? So Ken had 14. Let me tell you what I had. I had Colonel Pope, Cindy the Marine I told you about. Jonathan was Air Force. He was one of the guys on the call. I had 2 at My Warrior's Place in Ruskin on Friday. I had 10 at My Warrior's Place in Punta Gorda Sunday, and I had 2 at the airport. My dad went to a Veterans Day event there in Fitzgerald, Georgia. He had 4 Army vets, 2 Navy, 3 Air Force, 2 Marines, and a friend of his that was a Marine and later became an Army National Guard colonel, and then the chief of police. So Dad had a good day. Carl had 5, he said, at a Veterans Day ceremony they did there in Warsaw, Missouri. Never heard of it, but it was it called, Carl? You placed a wreath in the river or something, honoring all veterans. Kind of cool. And Carl posted some pics on the Speaking His Name Facebook group there. Thank you, Carl, for sharing that with us. So if I add up all the thank yous that I just cited, the ones I know about, we were at 51. No surprise that we had a good week during the week of Veterans Day. So 51 thank yous. And that takes our count. Are you ready? Drum roll. Are you ready for this, Ken? 2,427. So I think it's a pretty safe bet we're going to get to the 2,500 mark by the end of the year. That's the goal that Ken set for us, the challenge that he issued. So I think we will get there. So good job this week. All right, let's see. We did have some veteran cemetery visits, Daryl and my dad at the usual locations. So we're at 1,027 veteran cemetery visits since we started playing that game. There's my buddy Mike McCormick. How you doing, Mike? Good to have you in there. This is Speaking of Zane, something we do most Sunday nights, but we got it. I was traveling, so we pushed it to Monday night, as we've done every now and then. But Speaking of Zane, we've been doing now for 259 weeks we've done this, Mike. And basically, the whole purpose of Speaking of Zane is keeping his memory alive by speaking his name. And it's really grown into us doing some other things and sharing those other things with each other on a regular basis. But good to have you in there, Mike. Mike is a character, and I am surprised I didn't get in more trouble as a young airman with Mike, because he sure provided the opportunity for us to get in trouble. But a good guy, real proud of Mike, went on to do great things and is still doing great things. And Mike and I have run across each other at the 10th Acts reunions and at other times along the way in Atlanta and San Diego and other places. But good to have you in there, Mike. Mike, Lori's been in London for 6 weeks and going to be there through the end of the year. And I'm going to be with her for 2 weeks over Christmas, and we're going to make the pilgrimage to Mildenhall and Lake and Heath and Beck Row and Bury St. Edmunds and all of that while we're up there. So should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's see. Nothing really to report on the organization. I just told you everything about what's going on at my Warriors place, and I guess the next sort of big thing organizationally that we'll be looking forward to as a group or subgroups is Reach Across America. So um, Daryl has already posted some things on his Facebook page about Reach Across America, but we'll be sharing more about that and making sure everybody knows about the opportunity you have to place wreaths at the headstones at veteran cemeteries all across the country. Okay, to our heroes lost or wounded section, man, we have terrible news to share today. This happened last Thursday, the 10th, and the names were released today. But we lost 5 soldiers in a helicopter crash. I think it was in the Mediterranean, and they were members of the 160th SOAR, the Night Stalkers. And I didn't see whether this particular unit was out of Fort Campbell or out of Hunter Army Airfield, because 160th units are in both locations, and I didn't see that was shared yet or not. But very unfortunate, and I don't know what kind of operations they were involved in. You kind of know where they were at, um, but they said that it was um, refueling. They were refueling, and they do everything they do at night. Hence, Night Stalkers, and they have the special black helicopters, and so that I don't know if that was a contributing factor, but it's still the case. That they do everything at night, but they were refueling evidently, and of course we don't have all the details there, but just a terrible occurrence, and you can see the men there. 5 of them, 2 warrant officers, and 3 enlisted crew members. And I'll read their names because they deserve to be read. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Stephen Dwyer. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Shane Barnes. Staff Sergeant Tanner Groan. Sergeant Andrew Southard. And Sergeant Cade Wolf. So rest in peace, gentlemen, and thank you. I already do know a couple of connections to these folks as well at my company. There's a couple of connections to 2 of the soldiers are known by people at the company I work for. So when that happens and it hits real close to home like that, just makes it even more painful. Okay. Well, keep their families in your prayers. I tell you, just can you imagine what they're going through right now? It's just unbearable to even consider, and but just terribly tragic. Okay, team. Well, that's all I have to share. I know it was a lot about me this week, but there's been a lot of activity going on. But I'll look forward to convening again Sunday night. I'll be home here Sunday night for the next couple of Sunday nights. So I look forward to having speaking to Zane on the normal evenings. Remember, if you visit a veteran cemetery, let us know about it and we'll track it. If you thank or encounter a veteran in any way, let us know about it. We'll tabulate that as well. And that'll be a good thing. All right, Lori, it's 9. Let's see. For Lori, it's 2 in the morning, and she tries to stay awake for speaking of Zane. Bless her heart, but I know she's probably nodding off. But we will see you later, Lori, and we will see you all later. I love every one of you, and appreciate that you would take your time to come and listen to this old man bloviate. But it is therapeutic for me, and I certainly do appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you all again next week on Sunday night. God bless.